Coronation Street star Julia Golding has spoken exclusively to Digital Spy about the potential return of her character Shona Platt's dad Doug Ramsey, as the drama with her and sister Jodie escalates. Doug appeared in one episode earlier this year, when Shona tracked down Jodie sitting at their estranged dad's bedside in a psychiatric hospital, and it seems Julia is keen to see more of this character's relationship with the sisters. Julia talked to us while taking part in a fun photo shoot celebrating Corrie's nominations in the Inside Soap Awards 2026. The pictures appear in this week's bumper issue of Inside Soap, which is out now. You can see our exclusive behind-the-scenes video from the photo shoot at the top of the page, then read on for Julia's full Q&A. To be up for Best Partnership, with Jack P. Shepherd, as Shona and David, feels very exciting. It's something we haven't ever won, and we have been together 10 years now, so to win it on our 10th anniversary would be really special. And being up for Best Family, I mean, come on, it's the Platts. We are the best family. And I think we won it a couple of years ago as well, so it's nice to be back in the nominations again. Why should fans get behind Corrie in the Best Soap category this year? It's Coronation Street, we are the OG. I think we've had some fantastic storylines, some excellent performances, and we definitely deserve to win it. I think fans should be very worried about David and Shona. I think Jodie is capable of all sorts of mischief, and maybe something a bit darker than that. So I think the fans should definitely be worried. I would like to think that they could survive anything as a couple, but who knows? Jodie is extremely manipulative and she's very good at it as well. So watch this space. What do you think Jodie's endgame is? Do you think she's trying to destroy Shona or steal her life? Goodness me, I have no idea. I don't even know if Jodie does, to be honest. Jodie's definitely single white female NG Shona. I think she feels very owed, because Shona now has quite a comfortable life. But I keep reminding everyone, Shona's not Jodie's mom. She got kicked out at 13 with her baby, so I don't actually think Shona's done all that wrong, but I would say that, of course. Do you know if we'll see Shona and Jodie's dad Doug again, after he appeared in one episode earlier this year? I can neither deny nor confirm. But it was wonderful working with Steve Yvetz, and personally I would be absolutely delighted if Doug Ramsey came back to the cobbles. Why do you think Shona's not more concerned about Jodie's game? Has she taken her eye off the ball a bit? I think Shona's lack of concern about Jodie is possibly due to the fact that she's got a little tiny baby who's been incredibly poorly. She's been in hospital, she's been back and forth, she doesn't know which way is up. So I think that somewhat pulled the wool over her eyes a little bit, in terms of how sharp she is. And she's got a brain injury. Coronation Street could be preparing another dramatic character return as the complicated story involving Shona Platt and her half-sister Jodie Ramsey takes another unexpected turn. Life on the cobbles has rarely been straightforward for Shona Platt, but her latest family drama has taken her into territory she could never have expected. After years of separation, Shona was suddenly reunited with her half-sister Jodie, only for their reunion to become increasingly complicated. Now, there are growing hints that the Platt family story may not be finished yet. The arrival of Jodie in Weatherfield was already surrounded by mystery. She was first introduced during the dramatic crossover between Coronation Street and Emmerdale, where she was discovered in terrifying circumstances after escaping from Graham Foster. Jodie was eventually revealed to be Shona's estranged half-sister, immediately opening the door to a huge new chapter for the Platt family. But Jodie's arrival was never simply about bringing two sisters back together. From the beginning, there were signs that she was hiding something. Shona initially wanted to believe that finding Jodie was a second chance for them. The pair had been separated when they were younger, with Shona leaving their family home and Jodie feeling abandoned in the process. For Jodie, those childhood memories never disappeared. Instead, they appeared to fuel resentment that slowly began to surface. Jodie's dangerous game. As Jodie became more involved with Shona's family, her behavior became increasingly suspicious. Rather than simply rebuilding a relationship with her sister, Jodie began attempting to insert herself into Shona's life. She developed relationships with people around the Platts and appeared determined to make herself indispensable. Shona, meanwhile, struggled to work out exactly what her sister wanted. That uncertainty became even more troubling when Jodie began manipulating those closest to Shona. The situation eventually became particularly explosive when David Platt found himself caught in Jodie's plans. Jodie's attempts to get closer to David pushed the already fragile family dynamic towards breaking point. For Shona, discovering that her sister could potentially threaten her marriage made the reunion far more painful than she had imagined. The storyline has deliberately played with the idea of Jodie wanting what Shona has: a home, a family, security, and perhaps, most importantly, the life she believes Shona took away from her. Reports have previously described the storyline as taking inspiration from the psychological thriller Single White Female, with Jodie attempting to move into Shona's world and even target her relationship with David. That makes the possibility of another character returning particularly intriguing. Could someone from Shona's past return? The biggest question now is whether Shona's family history could once again come back to haunt her. The Ramsey family has already been opened up significantly by Jodie's arrival. Viewers have learned more about the sisters' childhood and the difficult relationship they had with their father, Doug. Shona's attempts to understand what happened in the past led her towards uncomfortable discoveries. Jodie, meanwhile, clearly had her own version of events. And that leaves one major possibility hanging over the story. Could someone from the sisters' past return to Weatherfield and finally reveal what really happened? A character return would make perfect sense dramatically because so much of Jodie's behavior has been connected to her childhood. Her anger did not appear from nowhere. Her resentment towards Shona has a history. And her complicated relationship with her father has already been shown to be important to the story. The possibility of another return could therefore completely change the way viewers understand Jodie. Shona's family could be put under pressure again. For Shona, the situation is especially dangerous because she has so much to lose. She has David. She has her children. And she has finally built a stable life on the cobbles after years of emotional turmoil. The arrival of Jodie threatened to destabilize all of that. Even when Shona tried to support her sister, there were warning signs that something was not right. Jodie repeatedly presented different versions of herself depending on who she was talking to. She could be vulnerable one moment and calculating the next. That unpredictability made her impossible for Shona to fully trust. Yet Shona also couldn't simply turn her back on her. After all, Jodie was her sister. That emotional conflict has been one of the strongest elements of the storyline. Shona knows what it feels like to have a complicated past. She knows what it means to make mistakes and be judged by them. So part of her naturally wanted to believe that Jodie could change. But another part of her recognized that Jodie was capable of causing serious damage. A return could expose Jodie's biggest secret. If a familiar face does return, the character could potentially expose something Jodie has desperately tried to keep hidden. That could involve her childhood. It could involve her relationship with Doug. Or it could even reveal that some of the stories Jodie has told Shona were not quite what they seemed. Jodie's history has already included deception, manipulation, and carefully constructed stories designed to gain sympathy. That makes every detail she has given Shona questionable. And if somebody from the past arrives with a completely different version of events, Shona could be left wondering whether she has ever truly known her sister. That would create an explosive new chapter. Imagine Shona finally believing she understands Jodie, only for a returning character to walk through the door and say something that changes everything. It would force Shona to reconsider every conversation they have had. Every argument. Every apology. Every moment when she defended Jodie against David. Suddenly, the entire story could look different. David may have been right all along. Another important element is David. David has never been comfortable with the way Jodie has behaved around his family. While Shona has repeatedly tried to see the good in her sister, David has had a much more suspicious view of the situation. That difference has created tension between husband and wife. David's instinct has been to protect Shona and the children. Shona, however, has struggled with the guilt attached to her childhood separation from Jodie. She cannot help wondering whether she played a role in creating the person Jodie became. That guilt is exactly what makes her vulnerable. Jodie understands Shona's emotional weakness. And if a returning character exposes the truth about Jodie's past, David could finally be vindicated. But that would not necessarily make things easier. Shona could be devastated to discover that David was right. She could also blame herself for allowing Jodie into their home and giving her access to the family. That could put enormous pressure on the Platt marriage. Jodie's story may not be over. Despite everything that has happened, it would be too simple to assume that Jodie is finished with Shona. Her storyline has already gone through several dramatic twists, and recent developments have continued to leave questions about her future hanging in the air. Indeed, reports have pointed towards Jodie making another return to the Platt household, suggesting that her connection with Shona may still have plenty of life left in it. That could be the perfect opportunity for another surprise. Jodie might return believing that she can repair her relationship with Shona. Or she could come back with another secret. Either possibility could result in chaos. And if Shona discovers that someone from her family's past is also returning, the situation could become even more explosive. A new chapter for Shona. The most interesting aspect of this storyline is that it isn't really just about Jodie. It is about Shona. For years, Shona has tried to move forward from the difficult circumstances of her childhood. She has built a family of her own and created a life that is far removed from the world she once knew. But Jodie's arrival has dragged the past back into her present. The return of someone connected to that past could therefore force Shona to confront parts of herself she has spent years trying to leave behind. She may finally have to answer some uncomfortable questions. Why did she leave Jodie? What really happened between the sisters? What did Shona's father do to affect them both? And most importantly, can Shona ever truly trust Jodie? Those questions could become central to the next stage of the story. The shock could be bigger than anyone expects. For now, the possibility of another return remains one of the most intriguing directions Coronation Street could take. The soap has already demonstrated that the Shona and Jodie story has much deeper roots than viewers initially realized. Jodie arrived as a mysterious woman escaping a terrifying situation. She became Shona's long-lost half-sister. She then became a threat to the stability of the Platt family. And now, with the sisters' complicated history still unresolved, another familiar face could potentially reopen the wounds of the past. If that happens, Shona may find herself facing the hardest choice of all. Does she continue trying to save her relationship with Jodie? Or does she finally accept that some family ties can become dangerous? One thing is certain, if Coronation Street really is preparing a character return within the Shona and Jodie storyline, it could completely change the direction of the plot. And for Shona, the biggest shock may not be seeing someone from her past again. It could be discovering why they've returned, and what they know about Jodie. With Jodie's future still surrounded by questions, the Platts could be heading towards another major Weatherfield showdown. And this time, Shona may finally be forced to choose between protecting her sister and protecting her family. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Crown ST.